Hey, thank you for this question. Before I get to it, though, the fit for today is Unicorse from the inimitable show Bluey. Now, your question reads, were their names really Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Peter? These seem to be Western Europe names. I get questions like this quite a bit, and there are two things to keep in mind. The first is that all these names are transliterated from Greek. The New Testament was originally written in Greek, and Greek uses a different script. And so if you don't speak Greek, you probably wouldn't even be able to pronounce this name at all. And so it must be transliterated into a Latin script so we can at least approximate how it might be pronounced. Now, that process of transliteration usually involves some change to the form of the name as well. Different languages use different conventions for names, so you can know if it's a masculine or a feminine name, or because they use specific endings for names or something like that. There's usually going to be some kind of small change to the form. So if we look in the New Testament, in the Greek, these names are actually, Matthew is Mattheos, and that comes from Hebrew. The name in Hebrew is Matityahu, so it's already been transliterated from Hebrew into Greek. And now we're transliterating it from Greek into Latin characters. Mark is Marcos. So if you know anybody named Marcus, that's closer to the Greek version of this name. Luke is Lukas. And so again, if you know anybody named Lucas, that's closer to the Greek version of this name. John comes from Ioannis, and this comes from Hebrew, Yochanan or Yehochanan. And then Paul comes from Paulos. And you'll recall that Paul's name originally was Saul, which comes from the Hebrew Shaul. And then Peter comes from Petros, and his Aramaic name may have been Kephas, which would mean a rock, similar to Petros. And this leads to the second thing to keep in mind. These names have all been transliterated into a Latin script using Western European naming conventions, so they feel a lot more natural and native to a Western European sociocultural context. And we also experience them a lot more frequently in the world around us rather than in the world of the Bible. We've probably met a lot of people named Matthew or Mark or Peter or Paul. And so when it comes to hearing that name, our mind has a lot more reps in the world directly around us than it does in the Bible. And so when we think of those names, our mind is going to generate a sense of something a lot more native and natural and close to us than something we think of as being more foreign, like the Bible. So this notion that it feels more Western European is kind of a cognitive illusion that arises from the fact that Western Europe has largely built its socio-cultural foundations upon the Bible and is borrowing things like names directly from the Bible. And so because it's closer to us than the Bible, it feels like it's more native and natural to us than to the Bible.